G'day there guys, Hydrated Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's bloody good episode, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie. Let's just do it, eh? Let's just go for it. Posted by user Reddy405, titled, Am I the asshole for feeling like my eldest daughter should be treated the same way as my real children? When my male 45, daughter, female 13, was born, I immediately felt that something was obviously amiss. She was blonde-haired and blue eyes, which was extremely unlikely for a child of myself and my ex-wife, female 39. I am very Mediterranean, and I have olive skin, dark eyes, and dark hair. My ex-wife has brown eyes and relatively dark brown hair. Her skin is barely lighter than mine. The baby also clearly bore no resemblance to me or anyone in my family at all. I had been having misgivings about my ex too, and she seemed too quick to express surprise and make excuses. Still though, I didn't want to throw away my marriage over what could have been my own misunderstanding of genetics, and so I signed the birth certificate. I instantly knew that I was going to have a paternity test done, but something else surprised me. When I brought our little girl home, I still fell in love with her. It just felt like bringing my son, male 14, home, and looking at her, I still just saw her as an innocent, beautiful little baby. We bonded. The paternity test came back negative, as I suspected it would, and I decided that our marriage was over. I still loved our little girl though. My then wife did everything she could to drag out the divorce and refused to separate or move out. My daughter's biological father, every bit as blonde and blue-eyed as I suspected, turned out to want nothing to do with her or my ex. He was already married with his own family, and his only focus was preventing the situation from blowing back on himself too much. My ex went totally nuts when both I and her affair partner rejected her, and she made some very unfortunate decisions. To make a long story short, she ended up with prison time for crimes including identity theft, assault with a deadly weapon, and grand theft auto, when she stole credit cards and forged documents for both of us, and when she stole her affair partner's car and tried to run him over with it. I ended up with custody of our kids, with the affair partner never even attempting to establish any kind of paternity rights. I didn't want to press the issue myself, as I couldn't deny that I had bonded with this child, even knowing that she wasn't my real daughter. I had been shunning my now ex-wife as best I could, and trying to move on with my life after she was finally out of the house. It wasn't long before I got together with and married my current wife, female 34, and we've since had another 2 children, male 10 and female 8. My eldest daughter is a total daddy's girl, and we have a wonderful relationship. She always feels loved, and I treat her the same as my other kids. Even though she obviously stands out, my family accepts her too, or at least that's what I thought. I work for my father's company, and the other day we were talking about the future and his will, and he was talking about what money and assets, etc. he wanted to leave to whom, including his grandchildren, and I noticed that my older daughter had been left out. I mentioned it to him, and he said, "It's nice what you've done for your daughter, but you have real children, and obviously they should come first." I interrupted him, and I told him that she is my real daughter, and that I thought she should be treated equally. He just paused and looked at me for a moment, and he said, "I guess you feel how you feel," before he noticed I was still about to argue with him, and he shrugged and moved the conversation on to things about work and my siblings. I was too polite to try to force the matter at the time, but it sort of stuck with me. My father isn't the type of man to harp on a point, and I am certain that he is content to have said his piece and would let the matter drop. He could certainly tell what he said upset me, and so I doubt he would bring it up again. Frankly, he sort of raised me the same way. At the time, I was shocked, because he always seemed to accept my daughter as a part of the family. He buys her gifts for her birthday and for Christmas, and he makes her feel welcome, but thinking about it, he really is just a kind, polite, and generous man in a lot of ways. He will and has bought Christmas gifts for high school friends and significant others if he knew that they were coming, and the same for other gift-giving occasions. He's generally very hospitable to anyone his friends and family bring around, so I thought that maybe it was just that, and I misinterpreted. My wife is Asian, so my eldest daughter always stands out. She is thin and blonde and blue-eyed, unlike pretty much anyone else in my family, and she's taller than any of the other girls or even most of the women, really. So I'm aware that she might look like the neighborhood kid visiting or something. My wife loves her, and I know that she 100% accepts her as one of our kids, and she has been a great mum/stepmom. I talk to my own mother though, and while she's definitely closer to my daughter than my father is, they interact a lot more, and she includes my daughter with the other kids/other girls in family traditions and activities. I got a little bit of the same vibe from her. She was much more diplomatic, but it seems like she may also sort of consider my daughter to be sort of a guest/unfortunate orphan that I'm hosting or something like that. She pointed out that I can make my own will however I want. My daughter knows that she isn't biologically mine. That would have been hard to hide, even if we'd really had the opportunity. She doesn't want anything to do with either of her bio parents though. She's seen her bio dad perhaps a handful of times in her entire life, and I don't even think he can remember her middle name. He seems to have pretty successfully kept his family together and his wife from leaving him, but he definitely doesn't want any involvement. My ex-wife continued to spiral for a long while, and she lives in another state with another man and her own new family at this point. She mercifully rarely makes contact. I've never really tried to go after either of them for money. I don't need it, and it's not a pot that I want to stir. My siblings are mostly supportive, if a little bit mixed on the issue. Some of them say that they could never raise a child of an affair partner, but all of them say that they love and accept their niece. I just can't get over the way that I feel distant and upset about what my father said, though. He's an extremely kind and generous man, and he's always taking care of his family. He's given me opportunities and a lifestyle that I never could have achieved without him. I love him, and I look up to him. Maybe that's why I feel sort of, I don't know, betrayed? It feels wrong that she's the only one of his grandchildren to be left out of his will, apparently because he doesn't consider her a real grandchild. Intellectually, I can accept that he's technically correct, but it feels wrong. She is my daughter. Am I wrong, though? Am I just being entitled and unreasonable here? Am I the asshole? In the comments, Jacobi Dave says, I get why members of your family might consider you foolish for raising the result of your ex-wife's affair, but honestly, it speaks well of your character that you treat her as your own. I wonder if your parents would be similarly not accepting if you had adopted a child, because practically that is what happened. I wish you and your family the best, not the asshole. I think OP should ask his parents that. If I had adopted a child, would you feel this way about that child? Okay, because that's what I did. I put my name on her birth certificate and raised her knowing that she wasn't biologically mine. I adopted her, and she is my daughter. I agree, and to be honest, she was born into your family, and you have claimed her as your own child. Same as if you'd adopted her or brought her into the world through birth. That's very important to me, and to be honest, anyone that didn't want to accept that and wanted to treat that child differently from my other kids would not be someone that I would want to spend much time with any of my kids. Not the asshole. I think you are an amazing dad. My stepmother did this for me, although I wasn't an affair child. My father died when I was 15, and my birth mother spent most of her life institutionalized for mental health concerns. My stepmother, like you, was a saint. You will probably never really fully know the good you have done. No, you're a goddamn saint. The problem is, you're thinking other people will be saints too, and they're not. Their reactions are understandable, but it makes me sad for her when she eventually learns the truth of how they see her. Yeah, there's no really winning in this one. I do think that the case is settled there. You're not the asshole for feeling like your eldest daughter should be treated the same way, but I don't see it changing. To me, this is kind of a pick your battles situation. Like, your life is where it is at right now because of your father. If you fight him on this, you're potentially going to face repercussions for those actions. Either way, your daughter will feel left out, and she will feel the brunt of this crushing denial from the family that she was born into, and that she did nothing to earn the disrespect they show towards her. Life is unfair and very much cruel at times like this, and all you can do is really just be there for her and support her like you always have. And now, onto the update. Just a small update. Thanks for the comments and wishes. It really put a lot of things into perspective, and it confirmed to me that I needed to say something. Some people seem surprised at the way that I let my daughter's bio parents off the hook, so to speak. The main reason I've never tried to go after my ex or her affair partner for child support is that my daughter is more important to me than money. I'm not struggling at all, and I have the support that I need. More importantly, though, I have my daughter. Even though the affair partner didn't apparently want anything to do with her, my lawyer did mention way back in the day that either he or my wife, being her biological parents, could have a strong case for seeking custody. I know I'm biased, but her bio dad seems like a huge asshole, and I know he doesn't care about her. I wouldn't put it past him to try to get custody to just duck out of paying child support, though, if his hand was forced. And the idea of having her go to stay with him is just something that I don't even want to think about. Kinda the same thing when her mum got out of prison. She seemed like she was very quick to go shack up with her new guy, and she seemed willing to let the matter lie. So I did the same. The fact that neither of them tried to get her, or in my ex's case, the way she hasn't even bothered to keep much contact with our son either, tells me more than everything I need to know about the kind of parents they are and would be. They only seem interested in their pre-existing and new families, respectively. I wouldn't want to try to back them into trying to take custody. With my daughter being 13, it's possible that we've sort of run out the clock on that matter, but it's still not drama we need or a risk worth taking. In better and more important news, though, I talked with my dad. I met with my father for lunch, which was easy enough, as he's around most days and we could sync up some time. I mentioned that I wanted to talk about my daughter not being in his will, and I told him that even if it meant dividing what was being left to me or my other kids, I felt it was really important for her to be included. I also mentioned, as I felt, and as a lot of people pointed out, that it would be devastating for her to find out that she had been excluded after his death. My father agreed that that was a really good point, and he said that she is a lovely girl, that he does love her, and that he wouldn't want to add extra pain or bitterness to her life, especially at such a time. Also, it had gotten around to him that I'd been sort of polling my siblings a little bit, and I think my mum talked to him some, and he said, "This is obviously very important to you. You're my son, I can just change it. It's not so much money anyway." And he was right. The amounts of money being left to individual grandchildren aren't massive, but the gesture and the thought are what's most meaningful. Mostly everything is going to Mum and or his kids anyway. Really, there was no reason for me to expect him to have been stubborn or hard-hearted about any of this. It was just something that we needed to talk about. My father reiterated that everyone loves my daughter and that she'll always be family and always have a home. He has a gold bracelet that he's worn somewhat occasionally over the years, and he mentioned that my daughter thought that it was pretty. When she was very little, she noticed it on his wrist and said that jewelry was for girls. He laughed and explained to her that sometimes boys wear jewelry too. She thought it was nice and he let her try it on, even though it was way too big for her wrist. She was a little toddler then. I didn't know about that moment between them, and I thought that it was really sweet that he remembered. He said he was going to leave her the bracelet and a note, and that as far as money goes, she would get the same share as the rest of my kids. So we had a nice lunch, and we both felt better for it. Nothing too dramatic, but really the best way things could have gone. Thanks everyone for confirming that I wasn't being crazy and confirming that I needed to talk to my father and to set things right. In the comments, Appropriate Area says, "This is a happy update. Your father is a good man, and he raised you to be a wonderful man himself. I love a story of good people being good people. Thank you. It's sad that there has to be such shitty ones to make the good ones stand out, but I guess we have to take that with life. I hope OP and his family have a wonderful one." Let's be real. OP didn't have to step up, but thank goodness he did, because he's doing right by all his kids, whether bio or not. His side of the family needs to understand that his adopted daughter may have came to him under effed up circumstances. That doesn't change the basic fact that they all know that OP sees her as his real daughter, and they need to respect that. I hope his side of the family continue to have that epiphany before they find themselves on outs with him and all his kids. OP adopted his daughter. But more importantly, his daughter has an actual blood sibling with her older brother. A family of kids with a mix of 4 different parents. They are all interconnected, even if some are not directly blood related. They are a family, and OP actually understands that. He's an incredible father, and his kids will grow up to be good people. I was there for the original posts, and was infuriated. Your adopted child is your child. Full stop, no qualifiers. Your child's child is your grandchild. Full stop, no qualifiers. OP's father partially got it, but it sounds like mainly for OP's sake, not his granddaughter's. Well, sometimes that's all we can ask for. And it's much preferable to him sticking to his original plan. Yeah, I'm just going with the safe side with my judgment there, but I'm very much happy that this happened, that things were made equal and they were made right, considering the circumstances. I just assume, and I'm biased in the fact that deaths and wills and inheritance will always bring out the worst in people. Obviously not always, but it has a very high probability in being disgustingly ugly. I just assumed that was going to happen here. I just assumed that the family was going to devolve into tribalism and come together to cut him out of the will because screw you got mine. I'm jaded, I'll be the first to admit. But my heart melts hearing just how beautifully this was resolved and how he came around so easily. It did sound like it needed a bit of coaxing and social pressure from OP going around to everyone, but I feel like he did it in quite a respectful way. And that, thank God, it ended this way and not with, the family ousting OP from their little coherent group they have there. There's just so much you don't know about people's lives and what their family structure is like, and I'm just very much glad that theirs is a wholesome and caring one. Our next post is by user MarsSaturn09, titled, I don't want to be 23. Hey guys, my female 23rd birthday is on Thursday, and I'm pretty depressed about it. I'm thinking about how my dad is almost 70, and how the clock is ticking with both of my parents, or how 23 just seems so grown up. I got heartburn at a wedding the other day after 3 drinks. That, to me, is 23. I live in Canada, so I've been able to drink legally for a while now. I've already had my champagne birthday, 21 on the 21st, and now, what? I'm just gonna go back to school. I'm broke as hell. My credit sucks, which is my own fault, and I feel like I'm watching my parents slip away. I want to be 10 and at a Dairy Queen after spending the evening at the park. I want that forever. I'm starting to get hungover after 1 or 2 sweet drinks. I can't pull all-nighters the way that I used to. I can see lines forming on my forehead. I'm not getting ID'd, even when I'm not wearing makeup. I just want to wake up in my childhood bedroom with the knowledge that I have. I want this to all be a dream. I am so scared, and I feel like the older I get, the more I realize how short life is. I'm too poor to travel, and my job after college will maybe pay me $50,000 a year. Right now, I'm serving effing tables, and I'm miserable. There is no money in that right now either. I need to renew my SmartServe certification to serve alcohol, and I can't even afford that. But I won't be scheduled at work if I don't renew it in time. Cool. I just feel like I made so many mistakes, and that my life could have gone way better. Now I'm feeling the effects of aging, watching it happen to my parents, and I have nothing to show for it. I miss my Barbies, and pink bedroom, and building forts in the forest. Now I'm about to be 23, and I have a nicotine addiction and debt on top of debt. I don't have the money to enjoy my youth, and it feels like it's slipping away. God, I wish humans lived for like 200 years. I don't know where I'm going with this. Time is fleeting, and there is a cost of living crisis, and I could have had my bachelor's by now, and I can't even effing drive, but even if I could, there's no way that I could afford it. I want to marry my boyfriend, but if it's not a courthouse wedding, then it's just not in the budget. I'm not suicidal, but I don't really see a light, and I'm not optimistic about my future, so I guess I'll just glide. Maybe I'll win one of those $1,000 a week things, and then I can pursue my education and dream job without financial burdens. Not that I even remember to ever buy them, lol. I'm not a gambler. I miss being a child and not having to worry. I don't know. If you read this far, then thanks. In the comments, Careless Sir 6080 says, "Sheesh, at 23, I, 26 male, made an oath to myself to wear Jordans all year. And I did. I also got my first face tattoo, and I became a pescatarian, lost all my weight, and even made the most money I've ever seen in my life that year. I ended up dating a hot girl and started working at my dream job. Needless to say, everything I could have ever dreamed of started happening at 23. I'm 26, turning 27 come January, and I'm working on buying a car and getting my own place. Still working my dream job and living like there's no tomorrow. Don't give up so easy. I'm so sorry that things aren't going the way that you want. You do sound a little depressed. I notice you're doing a lot of comparing yourself to what you used to be, to where you hope to be by this point, to how your life could have gone by now. Better, of course. I'm sure you know it could also have gone worse. You could have made bad decisions and driven drunk and killed someone, and you didn't. You could have done video games instead of homework and flunked out of high school or college. You could have gotten rough with the wrong person in the wrong part of town and gotten beaten up or killed. In general, you've made some pretty good decisions, and though you're not a trust fund snowflake who was handed everything on a silver platter, you're doing kind of okay. You just kind of feel stuck. It's kind of a hazard of your generation to be constantly exposed to people your age who have done better. Celebrities, influencers, sport figures, science fair winners, kids whose lemonade stands raise money for some cause. I'm really old, and we never heard of most of these people, so we never had the chance to feel inferior to them. We just kept doing the next day's homework, or the next weekend's volunteer task, or the next sport or music practice. And we did better than Buddy Sam in music, but not as well as Chris in sports, and it kind of evened out in the end because Sam definitely wanted to be a preacher, and Chris wanted to be an electrician, and we wanted something different from either of them. I'm hoping you see that you've been under a lot of your generation's pressure to prove something by your age, and most of us older folk never had to. We just had to keep on keeping on at your age. I'd recommend you consider volunteering because that tends to give you perspective that social media doesn't. Good luck. OP replies, "Thank you. This made me tear up. I have placements starting next semester, and my program is child and youth care, so I can imagine that it will allow me a moment to be grateful. My whole future career is kind of being paid to volunteer, if that makes sense. It's like a subsection of social work, but I really do want to when I have time. On the days I don't have class, I work, so hopefully one day. Thank you for your empathy though. You are very kind. Social work? Hun, you're not doing okay. You're awesome. You know how proud you're going to be of one of your kids who had a tough start when they get to 23 and are in college, don't you? You're going to be whooping and hollering all over the schoolyard because it'll be amazing. Well, how about borrowing a little of that enthusiasm for the achievements of the one who's going to help them get there? In part because she's seen some down times too. You know who I mean. You. Come on, you can do it. A teeny tiny whoop. An itsy bitsy bit of a you go, girl. There. Don't you feel better? Now go rock that new semester, eh? And now, on to the update. Hey everyone. Around last September, I, female, posted a rather depressing rant about my then upcoming 23rd. Well, I'm almost 24 now, and I'm happy. Financially, I'm doing a lot better. I switched programs, I'm on the dean's list, I get scholarships. I left the restaurant biz because of how well I do in school. I can live fairly comfortably. Within reason, of course. Me and my boyfriend mentioned in the previous post broke up, and that was weirdly an instant uplift in my mood, especially once I deleted his number. I'm crushing hard on a different man, and I think that might work out? Maybe? Hopefully? I was kind of regressing in terms of my mental health when I posted that, and I just wanted to say I'm doing better. I'm good, I'm happy, 24 is coming, and I think that'll be okay too. Take this as a lesson, I suppose. In the comments, Throw RA Rose Color says, I guess an unforeseen silver lining of having a shitty home life in childhood is I've never ever wished to be 10 years old. The older I got, the better my life got. Damn, I'd love to be 23 again. No, 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 no. Even with all my knowledge now, I still would not go back there. I like being an eccentric old lady. When my husband dies, I'm about to get 5 of those giant rabbits. I'm 23 and I'm finishing my master's by the end of the year. I will still randomly have feelings of existential dread because I don't think I have anything figured out and don't know what I'm going to do in a couple of months once I'm done. I'm starting to think that maybe none of us feel like we are where we want to be. One of my friends just hit 40. By all measures and appearances, he appears to be a very good grown-up. He's the first to admit that he sometimes feels like he could shit himself from feeling like he is a fake adult. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!